Good morning, you guys. Welcome back to Racket City Yardstead. We are working on a recipe with all of my carrots that I harvested. I guess not all of them. We're going to use about 2 pounds of them. But I've been working on peeling them up and getting them all nice and clean to make our recipe. So we're going to take a closer look at the carrot right now. You can see here, I scrubbed this really well with a vegetable brush, but there's all of these little nooks and crannies on the carrot, and it's just impossible to get all of the dirt out. So when you're going to can your carrots, that's why it's so important to wash them, peel them, and wash them again. Because things like botulism, they actually live in the soil, and so you got to make sure you get rid of all of the soil that's on your plants. Peeling them is really the only way to do that. I need to get this last one peeled up, washed again, and then we will start working on the other components of our recipe. So today we are going to make carrot butter, which is not something I've ever made or had, but when I was looking through my cookbook for recipes that sounded good or interesting, this one really stood out to me as one that I thought was worth giving a try. And it's definitely not something I'm going to go to the grocery store and buy. So it is really interesting to me. It's a more savory carrot butter. It has lime juice. It has habanero peppers. Just a really interesting combination. Cilantro, again, kind of out of my wheelhouse, but I like expanding my palate and trying new things. And so I thought this would be a good one to try. We'll get this last carrot rinsed up here. And these are ready to slice up to go in a pot. This recipe also calls for, I mentioned, 3 habanero peppers, 4 cloves of garlic, 3/4 cups of white onion. I went ahead and cleaned up a couple of my onions that we harvested the other day. It calls for lime juice, white wine vinegar, and salt, and the cilantro as well. So really an interesting recipe. But I'm going to start getting my carrots sliced up so we can get all of these ingredients into our pot and cooking. I'm going to get the garlic peeled and chopped. Garlic is one of those things I would really like to have in my garden again. I did not plant it the last couple of years because I had a volunteer mimosa tree growing out of the side of my bed that I had room to put the garlic in. And it was actually coming out between some of the boards on the side of the bed. And you guys know, if you have been around, that I garden organically. I don't put pesticides and stuff. Pesticides, herbicides, I don't use that kind of stuff in my garden, but I had to kind of give in on that when it came to the mimosa. One winter I got in there and I dug the soil all out of the bed and got as much of that root system out as I could, and it did not work. The thing came back even though everything that I had access to was gone. So where it started growing back out the side of the bed again, I had to use brush killer, which I did not love to do, but the mimosa tree was going to destroy my garden bed if I didn't do that. So now onto our habaneros. These I had to buy as well. I have never actually eaten habanero, so, oh, it does smell spicy. I hope I don't regret doing 3 of them, but I do know that the sweetness of the carrot should balance the habanero some. So I guess we're going to find out. But part of why I wanted to make this recipe was because I actually had a couple of pepper plants just shrivel up and die in the garden. And so I have some space available. And when I was at, I can't remember if it was Home Depot or Lowe's the other day, they still had habanero plants, and I thought if I liked them, we might. Oh man, can you hear that? It's already getting to me, just slicing these. But I was thinking if we like this, that maybe I would go get one of those habanero plants from Lowe's or Home Depot. I can't remember which one it was, but only one way to find out if we like them, and that is to give it a try. I need a drink before we move on with the recipe. That pepper really hit me in the back of the throat. So now that we've got all of our veggies chopped up, we need a cup of water. We need a cup of white wine vinegar. And we need half a cup of lime juice, bottled lime juice. That way we make sure we know it has the right amount of acidity. Skosh more. The last thing we need at this point is, oh man, I haven't even turned the heat on yet, you guys. The last thing we need is a teaspoon of salt. You want to get this all stirred together. We're going to bring it to a boil, pop a lid on it, and let it cook for half an hour. Our timer just went off, and so now we just want to check our veggies. They're nice and tender. So now it's time to run this through the blender. Bring this over here and dump it into our blender. I'll grab a spoon and make sure we get all of our veggies. It smells good. And I will tell you, I grabbed a carrot out of here and tried one because I was curious about how hot it was going to be. Ooh, just bumped my finger on the side of that pot. And there is definitely a kick, but it didn't blow my head off. So I think we're going to be okay as far as heat goes. I have my third cup of cilantro here, all nice and washed up. We're just going to blend this until it's nice and smooth. Give this a stir. Something's caught down there. Oh, it smells wonderful with that cilantro added in. It does say we want to make sure we get everything all pushed down the sides. I've got some onion here, so make sure that gets all good and incorporated. I did turn my blender up really high because I want to make sure it's nice and smooth. It looks really good. I'm going to bring you guys over and try and give you a peek. All that steam might make it hard. You can see how nice and smooth this is. Now that our carrot butter is all smooth, we are supposed to return it to our pot and simmer it for 15 minutes before we can it up. Because I've never made this before, I wanted to make it just like the recipe called for. But I feel like with these flavors, you could really probably add some things like cumin to it, and it would be really lovely. But this go round, we're just going to make it exactly like the recipe calls for. Time to get our carrot butter jarred up. It really is a beautiful texture. So I'm excited to try this. I'm not sure it's going to make as much as it said it did though. It said we should have about 5 half pints. That seems unlikely looking at my pot. Let me double check here. Yep, 1/4 inch headspace. I do have to tell you guys, it reminds me a little bit of baby food, the texture of it, but it certainly doesn't taste like baby food. As always, we're gonna wipe our rim down, put our lids on, and tighten our ring fingertip tight. I'm gonna do this with the rest of our carrot butter. I did want to show you guys, we only got 3 full jars. That was not surprising to me when I looked at what was in the pot. It did not look like it was going to make 5 half pints. We got this much extra, and so I'm just going to pop that in the fridge. The cookbook has a recipe for shrimp tacos that uses this, and I have everything to make those. So we're actually going to make that for dinner tonight and give this carrot butter a try. Now that we've got our 3 jars in here, we are going to pop the lid on. I cranked the heat up already. We're going to let this come to a rolling boil, and then we're going to process these for 10 minutes. Same as usual, we'll take the lid off once it's done, let them sit in the cooling water for about 5 minutes, and then pull them out so that they can cool on the counter. I will see you guys back here when it's time to make the shrimp tacos. It's dinner time, and all of my jars sealed. They're still a little bit warm, but I'm very happy they sealed. So we're going to make these shrimp tacos. Sort of pre-chopped a lot of the ingredients. So I have a 1/4 cup of red onion. It's going to go in the salsa topping for our shrimp tacos. The one change I'm making here is that it calls for mango. We do not like mango in our house, and so it's peach season here in Alabama, and I thought peaches would be a good substitute. So I'll add that in. We have an avocado. I just diced this up in the skin so I can just scoop it out. I had to go to 2 stores to find a ripe avocado. I was very happy to actually find one today. I had one that I had bought for this, and then, you know, life just got in the way and we did not make this dish when I thought we would. And so we ended up eating that avocado before it went bad. I'm sure you guys have all seen those memes about avocados. So now we need half of our cilantro. This is about a 1/4 cup of cilantro. So now we need 2 tablespoons of lime juice. I'm just going to eyeball this. Go. And 2 tablespoons of our carrot butter. It really does have just a beautiful consistency. Finally, we're going to add half a teaspoon of salt and about a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. We'll just mix that all together, and that will be our topping for our tacos. I do think I want to give this a taste. I'm very curious about it. It's such an interesting flavor combination. Let's see. It's good. There is a sweet, tangy thing from the carrot butter. There is a heat that is a little bit slower coming on, but it's good. It's good. I like it. The peaches and the avocado, I think, both help kind of temper that heat. So if you like mango, I would just use the mango. But fun fact, I have tried mango in North America, South America, the Caribbean, Africa, and Southeast Asia. And I feel like I gave it a fair shake. I just don't like it. So the peaches taste really good in there. Now it's time to move on to the actual tacos. So we're going to move over to the stove and get those sauteing. I am cutting this recipe in half because it says it serves 4 people and there's just 2 of us, and I don't really want to have leftovers with shrimp. Shrimp is definitely one of those things that's better fresh. So it calls for 1 sliced bell pepper. I would ideally prefer to have slices in here, but if you've been around lately, you've heard me talk about I'm trying to go through my bell peppers from my garden last year, and they're diced up. We're also going to add our zucchini and our sliced up garlic. And we're just going to cook this until the recipe describes it as tender crisp. So it shouldn't take but just a few minutes. Our veggies are looking ready, and so it's time to add our shrimp. Pop these in here. We want to add half a teaspoon of salt to our shrimp and about a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. The recipe says we should stir frequently and that these will take about 4 to 5 minutes to cook. We're looking for them to be pink all the way through. While this is cooking, I'm going to get my comal out and heat up our tortillas. Our shrimp and veggies are done and our tortillas are softened up. So the last thing we need to do before we can actually assemble our tacos is add 2 tablespoons of lemon juice to our shrimp and more of the carrot butter. The recipe calls for half a cup, so we're halving this recipe, so it'll be a 1/4 cup. And finally, our cilantro. We'll just toss this all together. If you guys are thinking this sounds like a strange recipe, it's definitely out of my wheelhouse, but I thought it was worth trying. There's a reason they put it in their cookbook, right? Flinging shrimp around. I did enough for 3 shrimp per taco. And we'll get some of our veggie mixture. It's really pretty. I'll be interested to see just how spicy it is. So now we'll put the avocado peach sauce on top. Make sure there's some peach in there. All right, I'm gonna bring this over and give you guys a peek at what it looks like. The real test is gonna be in how it tastes, so let's give it a try. This is not something you can really eat gracefully, is it? It's really good. That heat is building. I don't know if that's a thing with habaneros. You guys will have to tell me because I've never cooked with habaneros before. But there's a sweetness to it. There's a tang from the lime juice because we've got lime juice in every component. The carrot butter, the topping, and the filling. I think the avocado helps kind of cut the heat a little bit. My mouth is not on fire. There's just kind of a nice background heat. It's good. I like it. I don't know if it would be an everyday thing, but for something just to kind of do something a little different, it's good. The second bite, I'm getting a little bit more of the flavors. I had part of a shrimp in that first one and it was the overwhelming flavor kind of. I'm getting more of the heat and the carrot and the cilantro in that second bite. This is a fantastic dish. Well, you guys, thanks for hanging out with me today. I'm glad you were here. This is definitely new and out of my comfort zone for me. But I really actually enjoy the carrot butter and the shrimp tacos. It's different, but it's really good. Kind of nice to just step out of the comfort zone and try something new. So, will you guys let me know if you like this kind of video? I kind of like the idea of making the canned product and then trying a recipe that uses it, but I would like to know what you guys think. So send me a comment down below. Tell me if you like this format. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time. Bye.